Dollar Tree typically isn't my go-to for home decor, but with a little bit of DIY magic, we're gonna make things look really high-end. Starting off with this wall hanging. I was drawn to the fabric cutout and figured I could make multiple items from just this one piece. I saw this travertine wall sconce and immediately loved it because it worked so well in so many different spaces. I started this project off by first removing the fabric, and then I used some wood glue that I got from the Dollar Tree to glue the pieces together. I picked up these wood chunks from the Dollar Tree and just used some hot glue to secure them to the board. And this is how we're going to hang our piece to the wall. So there are a variety of different options that you can use to hang this to the wall. You can use a picture hook like this if your piece is a little heavier. If it's lighter, you can use one of these silver hooks. However, I would strongly recommend using some hot glue on the base because the claws are actually very shallow and it would only work if your piece isn't heavy. To create the travertine texture, I went in and used some plaster that I already had on hand, and then when it was partially dried, I went in with another tool just to create some little holes to replicate the cavities that naturally form in travertine. I started off painting this, but in the end I didn't like it, so I actually spray painted this with some ivory paint and got back to a neutral base. I added 2 more of the wood chunk pieces to make it more balanced, added some puck lighting from Amazon, and here is the final look. For the fabric pieces, I thought I would use it for a throw pillow. And my inspo comes from this piece that I found over at Home for a really affordable price at $24.99. Now, Pottery Barn, of course, has fall themed pillows, but they're way more expensive at $59.50 just for the cover and an additional $22.50 just for the insert. I picked up the fabric pieces from the Dollar Tree for just $1.25 each, and they're actually a decent size and quality. I believe they're 13 by 21 inches. Now, to adhere everything together, I'm using an iron-on glue that I picked up from Hobby Lobby. It's machine washable and you can also iron it on a low setting. Now, typically I use hot glue. However, the fabric that I'm using for the back is slightly thinner than usual, so I'm trying something a little bit differently this time. To stuff your throw pillow, I would strongly recommend just using your old bedroom pillows because it's way cheaper than purchasing fiberfill. I love using natural and organic materials, so I was really drawn to this wall sconce from Serena and Lily. It is coming in at $348, which I think is quite expensive, especially since wicker isn't an expensive material. To recreate this look, I'm using these woven baskets from the Dollar Tree. They do come in 3 different sizes, and they're only $1.25 each. My initial plan was to use this wired basket for the light fixture, but I couldn't quite get the best fit. So I decided to use this napkin holder instead, and it was perfect. I used some hot glue to secure the perimeter, and then I added a puck light, and that was it. Absolutely simple and easy. I found this little table over on Amazon and figured I could create something similar. I'll be using these paper towel holders for the legs and then this thrifted cheese board that I paid only $8.50. I'll be using some wood filler to fill in the areas on the back and then adding some gel stain to blend everything in. I used some hot glue just to temporarily hold things in place, but I would definitely recommend going in with another stronger adhesive just to make sure that your piece is secure. I have always loved preserved moss art. It's just an interesting way to add some greenery into your space without it being your typical house plant or your plant in a vase. So I saw this picture while looking at a real estate listing and I had to take a screenshot. I love the contrast of the white background with the moss. I picked up 4 of these frames from the Dollar Tree, and the artwork in this one actually isn't bad. It has definitely a modern feel. Now I'm going to be using some floral moss and a reindeer moss to recreate this look, and using the board that came with it to mark out where I have my moss pieces and my plastered areas. I used some green paint to help conceal where I placed the moss, and then I used some hot glue to add the moss to the board. I found this stunning piece on Anthropologie's website, but $838 is just unbelievable. I'm going to be using these wooden blocks from the Dollar Tree along with this frame, also from the Dollar Tree, to recreate a similar look. I started off using hot glue to adhere the wooden blocks to the frame, but it honestly did not work out. I think the frame was just a little bit too glossy or slippery, so I would recommend using a different adhesive. This wallpaper also came from the Dollar Tree. I also found some free-to-use artwork online and added some modifications in Canva, and here's the final look. Dollar Tree has these bamboo cutting boards, and they're actually a little bit bigger than the ones that they used to sell before. I also found a smaller one that I think may have originally come from the Dollar Tree, and I picked it up while thrifting for only 99 cents. Magnolia has these wooden risers that has a really nice rustic aged appearance. They come in 2 different sizes, and I really like the subtle checkered pattern. I added a base layer of gel stain to each board and then used a damp paper towel just to wipe off any excess glaze. I then taped everything off to create a checkered pattern and then used a combination of different paints to get this final look. So I am obsessed with warm metals, and I love that this wasn't your typical brass tone. This is copper all throughout, but $144 was a bit out of my price range, and I figured I could recreate something similar. So I picked up one of these clear glass plates from the Dollar Tree and then went to Michael's and found copper spray paint on sale for only $1. So what you're gonna do is just add your spray paint to the back of the plate, add a few layers, add a sealer, and here is the final product. These animal icon photo holders are absolutely adorable. They have a line for dogs and also a line for cats. Now I figured I could recreate a similar look using some of these resin figures from the Dollar Tree. I used these floral picks from Amazon for the card holder, and I did have to cut it down to size. I also heated up a sharp tool just to pierce through the resin, and once it was in, I secured it with hot glue. To create that aged appearance, I added a few layers of gold spray paint, added a paint wash, and here's the final result. I hope you enjoyed this week's video. Comment down below which DIY was your favorite, and I'll see you in the next one.